for what you do. The next speaker we have up is a dear brother and friend of mine, Vaughn Allen Goodwin. He organizes home healthcare workers with 1199 SEIU, United Healthcare Workers East, and is a tri-chair of the Massachusetts Poor People's Campaign. He's also my comrade in the Democratic Socialists of America, specifically the Afro-Socialist Socialist Color Caucus, which is full of Black, Indigenous people of color on the left, fighting for that multiracial working class movement to build the power we need for the world we deserve. Vaughn, you have 10 minutes. The floor is yours. Thanks for being here.
Okay, beautiful. Am I unmuted now?
Yes.
Does everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. All right, just want to thank everyone for having me on. Want to start by talking about the history of the labor movement. I know everyone on has some knowledge of that history. We all know that basically in the beginning of the 20th century, unions were very strong. We go back to the time of IWW, the Industrial Workers of the World, Industrial Workers of the World Unite. And then after that came McCarthyism, which led to a sort of a crush of unions in many ways. And in addition to that, what has also taken place, it was the formulation of large labor federations, such as the CIO and the AFL came together and formed what is called the AFL-CIO. And there are many other labor federations. Out of those came different types of what we call labor federations at local levels, local councils that exist now. But what we have had that has gone on consistently from administration to administration up till today is the lowering of the density and the membership of union members in organized labor. As multinational corporations have gotten larger, unions have had to become large, not by membership, but by coming together into different groups. So as there have been acquisition and mergers with businesses, there have also been acquisitions and mergers with unions as well. SEIU is a prime example of that. I'm not here to say whether that is right or wrong, but that is what has taken place. Workers have had to unite themselves in order that they can fight against the attacks that are coming at them. So now we are here in the 20th century, moving on. Unions have been defeated. There have been mergers and acquisitions, and as we see, as these organizations or these corporations have grown larger, such as with Amazon, for instance, under the leadership of Jeff Bezos and people like many others. Workers typically have had their rights stripped, and so labor unions have organized in a number of ways. Some have taken on a business model to almost being exactly like, let me just be honest, being exactly like those that they are organizing against. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to get no more specific than that, and this is under an approach that is largely, in some extent, neoliberal, and this doesn't help us as movements. We have to be honest as that. This does not help us. And then on the other hand, there are unions that have taken on a social justice message. Some may take on a social justice message, but the end result is that they end up being back in that same cycle. And all of them have to negotiate from contract to contract to try to get the wins that they want. All of them are in a situation electorally where they're trying to put a person in office who represents them, but what they find themselves is also trying to appease the business interests that exist. So I want to make reference to that. But what we still need, and let me say this, what we still need today, and I want to get deep into this, is a deep analysis, is a deep understanding of the struggle that we are going through so that we can be able to identify what is hurting us. And all of us know, but we have to be willing to face it. If it is, for instance, white supremacy, we have to point it out for exactly what it is. Because if we don't define what is hurting us, we will not be able to fight it. If it is capitalism that is hurting us, we have to be able to identify it, because we don't identify it, we cannot organize against it. If we can't identify it as neoliberalism that is hurting us, then we cannot collectively fight against it. And some of us, we get in positions, I just want to be honest, we get in positions within certain relationships where we are almost muzzled. Listen to what I'm saying, muzzled to the point that we cannot identify what is hurting us. We are almost in a position, we are forced to either to endorse, listen to me now, endorse certain types of individuals that may not necessarily be good for us, but we do so in order to further an agenda so that we can fight on behalf of our members. All right. This is where this is the situation in which you know, organized labor today finds themselves in some instances. This is where we find ourselves. We are in a position that we have to fight for the interests of our members. We have to fight for the interests of our members. But in order to fight for our members, we also have to be able to recognize and be able to call out audaciously a system that is hurting us. Listen to me now, that is hurting us, because wages for workers have not increased. They haven't. You understand what I'm saying? During the pandemic, let's be honest, frontline healthcare workers, including doctors, on down, nurses, on down, National Nurses United, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm talking about, are still in need, in hospitals, needing pandemic pay, needing PPE, personal protective equipment. They're still having to fight for it in hospitals. Some of them are using the same face mask, N95s, over and over again when that should not happen at all. You understand what I'm saying? But this is the predicament. And so what we are doing as healthcare organizations, and 1199 SEIU United Healthcare Workers included, organizing 55,000 personal care attendants in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, we are in a situation where we are fighting to get PPE, personal protective equipment, for our members who are taking care of people with disabilities and seniors whose immune systems are compromised. You understand what I'm saying? Why are we in that situation? Because of the precarious situation in which we find ourselves. And we're doing it at the time that we have a xenophobe in office. Y'all know who I'm talking about. We're doing this at the time that we have a racist in office. We have now elected Biden and Kamala Harris, and it is our hope and prayer that they will do a better job. We see signs that they will, but we're still going to challenge them. We're still going to press them. We're still going to keep the pressure on to make sure that they do the job that they are elected to do. So the question becomes, What do we as unions do in a situation like this? What do we do when we find ourselves in situations where our income is declining, where we are in the midst of a pandemic on the verge of getting a vaccine, and they say that it's going to be released to frontline workers and those with compromised immune systems. And I'm not just talking about them, I'm talking about workers in other professions. What do we do now in order for us to be able to survive as we move into 2021 and beyond? I want to go back to a brother of mine that spoke earlier today, and that is Bill Fletcher. One of the things that he talks about in his book, Solidarity Divided, is that labor unions have to merge with social justice organizations. We don't have a choice. We can't go to the bargaining table just on behalf of our members. We got to go on behalf of the community. We have to go on behalf of climate justice and change. So one of the things that we've done at 1199 SCIU is we have partnered with the Poor People's Campaign and also with Massachusetts Peace Action. Why? Because the same fight that is a fight for healthcare is a fight to end poverty, is a fight against militarism. We have to be able to educate our members, develop our members, and show them the interlocking interconnectedness with our movements, as they say, intersectionality. We have to be able to bring all of that to bear. So within 1199 SCIU, when a person is a member of 1199 SCIU, we also talk to them about the Poor People's Campaign, because our goal is not just electoral politics. Our goal is just not electing a politician to serve us in office. Our goal is building a mass movement. That's where we are. We are trying to build a movement. We can't just get you in office today. We have to build a movement that will challenge you, so that if you don't do the job that we elected you to do, we can take you up out of there. That's where we are. And that we are not electing a politician. We're trying to push policies forward that are going to help working class people, that are going to help those that are impoverished, that are going to lead towards a decrease in militarism, in and be able to lead towards a more just and a more fair society. So that's where we find ourselves. So what are some of the things that we are proposing? One of the things that is very important is education, vastly. One of the things that came out of the Occupy movement that I remember most, and many of us remember Occupy, is education was a lot broader. It wasn't just institutional or organized, it was organic. We had these national assemblies that occurred on the streets. Many of you remember that. And at those national assemblies, we had professors that would come from UMass Boston, that would come from MIT and others, go out and teach on the street. Sometimes they would occupy public universities, and occupy libraries, free libraries, and educate at libraries. We need that.
Brother
today.
Vaughn,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I need you to wrap up your last thought here.
Okay, not a problem.
Thank you.
We need that today. Education should be broad, and that's where we are. We need to broaden our movement. We need to build a massive grassroots movement that is about educating us all, so that we can build this movement that is needed in order to bring our country back to where we need to be. And we propose that for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaughn, for bringing the fire, bringing the heat.